definitely worth the wait. Clemson over Georgia 38-35. This thing just went final. Mark Rogers TV and Pro Football Central to give it a look. And we first look at the winners. And of course, we start with quarterback Tajh Boyd. This guy continues to impress. He gets better and better, not just by the season, by the big game, especially 18 of 30, 270 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. Most importantly, no picks, and it goes well beyond the numbers with Boyd. The guy's got leadership, competitive fire, poise. He's developed so much as a pocket passer. He's a polished quarterback now. And of course, he's got all the talent in the world running and throwing the football. And again, he really brought it. On a weekend when Jadeveon Clowney took a step back in the Heisman race, we think that Tajh Boyd has become the first player in the nation among the major candidates to take a major step forward in this win against Georgia. But it's about football, and it's about this team vying for an ACC championship, and this win takes a huge step toward BCS national championship contention for the Clemson Tigers. Roderick McDowell, he's been waiting patiently. He has gotten plenty of playing time behind Andre Ellington, but he really took control of this game on the ground for Clemson in the second half against this youthful Georgia defense. 22 carries, 132 yards, and what a spin move or two he put on Georgia defenders in gaining big yardage. And also Zach Brooks in the mix as well with big yardage on just 3 or 4 carries for the Clemson Tigers. Most notably, we look at Sammy Watkins, who burst onto the scene in 2011, 82 catches, 14 touchdowns. Then he really dropped off last season. He had injury problems and off-the-field issues. He looks to be focused back on football, focused in a big way. 6 receptions, 127 yards, and the 77-yard touchdown in which he made the Georgia secondary look silly. Big physical kid with tremendous speed, Sammy Watkins. There is no reason for him not to flourish in this offense with one of the best quarterbacks in the country. He scored just 3 touchdowns last season. He's got to score in double digits, no doubt, this season. But we really want to talk about the Clemson defense. Much maligned in recent years, brought in Brent Venables 2 years ago to coach the defense. Venables with the pedigree of coaching at Oklahoma and building that championship defense under Bob Stoops, especially that 2000 national championship defense that basically pitched a shutout against Florida State. So he comes in, and of course, Clemson has gathered athletes defensively, but they blow assignments, they miss tackles. We dogged them all off season for some of the bad plays that they've had, going back to the classic breakdown against Geno Smith in West Virginia in the Orange Bowl. But that seems like ancient history. Look at the defense tonight. Sure, they're facing one of the best offenses in college football. They're going to give up big plays. But they gave up a 21 spot in the first half, and they really locked it down in the second half with sound tackling, and they really didn't blow any coverages. They were on their men. They played sound defense. They gang tackled. They ran to the football. They played really hard for a Clemson defense. Most notably, we want to talk about this guy. He's a beast, defensive end Vic Beasley. He led the team with 8 sacks last season, and he was torment for Aaron Murray in this football game. Again, Vic Beasley, defensive end, who led the team with 8 sacks last season, was 4th in the ACC in sacks. He made some huge plays in this football game, as well as Stephon Anthony. The guy was the #1 linebacking recruit 2 seasons ago, according to ESPNU, out of high school. He lost his job of middle linebacker. They really wanted him to play middle linebacker last season. They moved him to the outside. He's bulked up in the offseason. And this is the type of game where that hard work is paid off against an SEC ground game, Todd Gurley in particular. Gurley had huge stats, but of course he had the 75-yard touchdown run. Otherwise, Clemson did a pretty good job in the running game against Gurley, who might be the best running back in college football. So again, Stephon Anthony, after a huge season with 93 total tackles last season, got the big strip and forced fumble that turned this game as well. We want to note in particular Stanton Settinger's play on 3rd down with Clemson needing to score a touchdown. Well, they were actually up 3, but to push that lead past a touchdown, past a 1-score game, he made that remarkable play along the sideline, which he caught the swing pass, stayed in bounds, actually lifted his heel. How he had the whereabouts to basically think about lifting his heel while stretching for the pylon. It was a tremendous athletic play from Settinger, who only caught 2 passes, but that was one of the biggest plays of the night. Clemson wins this one 38-35. Of course, this does not count toward the ACC standings, but this team has eyes toward playing for a BCS championship, and of course, this was a major win against the 5th-ranked team in the country. For Georgia, Nathan Theus, the snapper who made the bad snap on the field goal. Of course, it comes back to haunt the Georgia Bulldogs in losing by 3 points. Who knows what would have transpired in this football game after the bad snap had they kicked the field goal. But of course, Georgia loses by 3. Georgia still can get back into it. They play a rugged schedule, including South Carolina and Florida. They're going to be given every chance as a periphery top 10 team now, probably dropping from 5 to about 12 or 13. Again, losing by 3 points on the road to a top 5 team. Not huge for Georgia if they can recover. We thought the young defense played relatively well, considering they're playing possibly the best offense in the country. So Georgia loses 9 starters on defense, but they come back and they play pretty well against the Clemson offense. Again, 38 points doesn't sound like a great effort, but considering on the road against Clemson and one of the best quarterbacks and wide receiver tandems in the country, along with McDowell, who was amazing, the Georgia defense can be proud and has something to build on, but they're going to have to build rather quickly. They've got South Carolina coming up in Athens next Saturday. Georgia, Clemson fans, talk to us about your football teams and what do you think about this one and going forward right here on Mark Rogers TV and ProFootballCentral.com.